Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister speaks out during this weekend's second anniversary celebrations in Tobago. Minister of Tobago Development says every effort is being made to move away from the tourism sector and embrace a more diversified, sustainable economy. And the Energy Minister says Cabinet has approved plans to improve and expand the energy sector in Tobago. Thank you for joining us to our top story. Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissassa speaks out in Tobago on constitutional reform. Her announcement was one of many made during this weekend's second anniversary celebrations held on the Sister Isle.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissassa is promising citizens living in Tobago equal treatment as partners in government under constitutional reform. Speaking at the People's Partnership's second anniversary celebrations in Tobago, the PM said the proposals are being prepared under the draft Constitution Amendment Bill.
This constitutional reform makes it 15 in the 15-point plan. And indeed there are many others, but we will speak to you in due course of time, in the fullness of time. This constitutional reform issue was placed in the Partnership Manifesto for the 2010 general election. There we committed ourselves to the achievement of autonomy or internal self-government for Tobago. In that connection, we undertook that once you gave us the mandate by putting us in government, that we would, and I quote from the manifesto, bring to Parliament a bill to give the THA executive and legislative authority for matters under the 5th schedule and other matters incidental thereto.
She added that under this, Tobago will be provided with the internal self-governance it has requested.
The reports of the teams which I have read show clearly that the people of Tobago want internal self-government within the sovereign democratic republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And in keeping with those reports and its policy, my government undertakes to work with you, to work with them and the people of Tobago and Trinidad to give you internal self-government. I want to reiterate and repeat my government's view of constitutional reform is one which ensures Tobago gets a fair share, becomes an equal partner, side by side, hand in hand with Trinidad and Tobago.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Persad-Bissassa has announced the establishment of a tourism attaché to market the island's many resources. The PM said the proposed plans were based on ramped-up efforts to market Tobago as a premier tourist destination through its embassies around the world.
To develop the potential of Tobago as a premier tourist destination, we will establish the post of a tourism attaché, a diplomatic attaché, based at the Trinidad and Tobago Embassy in London, appointed in consultation with industry stakeholders in Tobago to deal with a Tobago diplomatic tourism attaché at the mission in London. We will make similar appointments thereafter for New York and Toronto. So you will have a Tobago tourism diplomatic attaché, first in London, then in New York, and then in Toronto.
The Prime Minister says she had been working closely with minority leader in the THA, Ashworth Jack, who has presented her with a 15-point plan to enhance the quality of life for Tobagonians. Part of the multi-point plan is set to include the construction of a fire station in Moriah, a magistrate's court in Plymouth, as well as a Met office for Crown Point. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
As government took to the island of Tobago, Minister of Tobago Development, the Honorable Vanella Allen Toppin, says every effort is being made to move away from the tourism sector and embrace a more diversified, sustainable economy. The minister was speaking during the launch of the latest resort to open its doors on the island, the Magdalena Grand Beach Resort.
Plans to amend land tenure laws for persons living in Tobago are said to be on the cards. This according to Tobago Development Minister Vanella Allen Toppin, who says it's all part of government's plans to thrust the Tobago economy towards a sustainable future. Mrs. Allen Toppin was speaking during the official commissioning of the Magdalena Grand Beach Resort in Tobago.
Every landowner in Tobago will soon have access to a deed of title and a certificate of title, with which they will approach our business houses and banks, and a lot of the bankers are sitting here, so that we can drive our economy. What we are building in Tobago is a sustainable economy and a viable industry. Tourism is just one of the pillars on which we will build this sustainable economy.
Meanwhile, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Delmon Baker, says the Magdalena Resort is just one of the many efforts made by government to further boost the Tobago economy.
The government guarantee program and the $250 million Tobago let me squeeze slowly. Big money, $250 million Tobago Tourism Development Fund. The refurbishment of the Magdalena Grand Beach Resort, are only the beginning of a long-haul program that your government, under the determined and steady leadership of Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and I must put a little piece here, a little plug. Forgive me. I must say that she's ably guided by the political leader of the TOP, Honorable Ashworth Jack.
Minister Topping added that job creation on the island was one of the main objectives high on the agenda.
We had a 40% Tobagonian input in the building of this structure, and of that we are very proud. We also have art and culture. We have our artisans who will be developed. We have serious creativity in the area of jobs. The spin-off of any kind of industry in Tobago gives us jobs. Jobs in Tobago will build our population again. Our population is much too small.
Minister Toppin says it's the plan of government to move away from the dependence on the tourism sector towards a more diversified economy. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your WASA bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
Welcome back. Energy Minister, the Honorable Kevin Ramnarine, says Cabinet has approved plans to improve and expand the energy sector in Tobago. This, as the Minister says, government will construct a new service station on the island as it looks to service the tourist sector.
Roxborough will see a new fuel station opened in the near future. This as government looks to improve the supply of fuel to the fishing sector and the tourism industry in the eastern area of Tobago. It was one of the many statements pronounced by government as it took its weekly post-cabinet media briefing to the sister isle. Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine noted that construction of the new service station will see a marked improvement in providing fuel services for the tourist sector on the island.
We are advised that a lot of tourists transit through the Roxborough area on their way to and from the rainforests, and as such, the tourist industry in this country would benefit from such a project. This is part of NP's wider strategy to modernize and upgrade its service station network, not only in Tobago, but in Trinidad.
It's expected that during his trip to Tobago, Minister Ramnarine will visit the Cove Industrial Estate, which is carded to be completed later this year. He notes this facility will be able to receive and treat natural gas derived from BHP Billiton's Angostura field.
But once that power station in Tobago is completed, there will be a tremendous savings for TNTech, because right now TNTech has to ship diesel to Tobago to generate power at the Cove Industrial Estate power plant. So it will now be fired totally on natural gas coming from one of our gas fields, and it will make Trinidad and Tobago only the second country in the world that generates all its electricity from natural gas. So that too is a very significant development.
Apart from this, Minister Ramnarine added that billions will be spent in the exploration of oil and gas and will expand to waters surrounding Tobago.
Their reserves there are approximately 1 to 1.2 trillion cubic feet of gas, quite substantial. The company they have come to the Ministry of Energy and they have presented their development plans for Block 22. And I believe they've also presented those plans to the Tobago House of Assembly. And it's quite an exciting proposal they have before the ministry right now that would see an investment in the billions being made in Tobago and in the waters around Tobago. So this is something that we are currently considering at the Ministry of Energy. We are advised by Centrica that if all goes to plan, they expect to start work sometime in mid to late 2013 on this project.
The Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine announced that construction of the Roxborough station will come at a cost of $9.5 million. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Meanwhile, Trade and Industry Minister, the Honorable Stephen Cady, says Trinidad and Tobago is working towards resolving trade issues with Jamaica. The issue arose during this week's post-cabinet media briefing where the minister addressed concerns raised by his Jamaican counterparts that this country was not being fair in trading goods.
Government says it remains committed to trade and investment relations with CARICOM neighbor Jamaica. Trade and Industry Minister Stephen Cady gave the assurance, as he said line ministers from both nations were involved in continuous discussions towards improving relations for the two CARICOM states.
We have, in the last 2 years, we have dialogued with Jamaica constantly. It is only since this administration came in, we have actually met with 3 ministers of commerce in Jamaica. Those ministers who previously would never have come to Trinidad all came to Trinidad. Up until recently, we had Minister Hilton, who is with the new Portia Simpson administration. He's the Minister of Commerce there now. And he was in Trinidad recently at our CIF and TIC forum. These discussions are ongoing. It is an issue. The trade imbalance between Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago is a very real situation that we're working with, and we're trying our level best to find the right formula to dealing with it.
Minister Cady said so far several meetings have been held with the members of the Jamaican cabinet, with the most recent being at the Caribbean Investment Forum held in Trinidad earlier last month.
We have had substantial investment by Trinidad and Tobago manufacturers in Jamaica. So you have companies here who traditionally shipped processed goods and what have you from Trinidad into Jamaica, and eventually went in and actually invested in Jamaica. So there's a lot more to it than just the issue of the imbalance. Of course, the issue of energy raises its head every time we talk about this trade imbalance.
However, he noted that the Trinidad and Tobago government had recognized the issues surrounding business relations with Jamaica and was working towards a speedy resolution.
It's not an overnight solution to this problem, but without a doubt, you have an administration that recognizes that it is a situation that has to be dealt with, and we are in fact working to some amicable conclusion to this Jamaica-Trinidad and Tobago issue.
Minister Cady said it's the commitment of the People's Partnership Government to maintain all trade relations, as it has been doing so since coming into office. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Wayne Cunningham has a sport report right after the break.
I'm Natasha, and like most Trinbagonians, I love the beach. The beach can be fun, but we have to be tsunami smart and know the warning signs. You're at the beach and you feel the earth shake. Run. You see the water moving an unusual distance out from the shore. Run. You hear a strange roar from the sea. Run. If you experience any of these warning signs, run to higher ground. Be tsunami smart and know the natural warning signs. They could save your life.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, United States Agency for International Development, Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, UWI Seismic Research Center, and the European Union.
Queen's Park dominance of local cricket has now become unprecedented by capturing the T20 Festival title. They have now taken the 3 major titles in local cricket for the second successive year. The men of Clico Presal were formidable opponents in the final, but the Parkites had a not-so-secret weapon in the middle order. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights from the final.
When Clico Presal finally broke into Queen's Park's top order in the Premiership T20 Festival final, this is what they faced. The most fearsome sight in T20 cricket, Kieron Pollard. The worried look on the faces of the Presal players was justified. Before that Pollard onslaught, Queen's Park got the right start with captain Justin Gillen and Dwayne Smith at the top of the order. Gillen on the go here. The skipper amassed a well-played 30 off 19 balls before he was caught by wicketkeeper Stephen Katwaru off the bowling of Videsh Maharaj. When he departed, his replacement Marlon Barclay kept up the pressure, this ball being hoisted over the ropes for 6. Please note, this is not a replay. Barclay was eventually bowled by Christoph Ramsaran for 32 from 27 balls. Unfortunately for Presal, after that came Pollard. And Dwayne Smith was also still there, and he brought up his 50 with this shot. Then this 4 causing all sorts of confusion, including a misfield. The Bajan T20 specialist was out for 66 from 41 balls. He was bowled by Strasak Sankar. Pollard was the next to go, caught at mid-wicket by Griffith for 49. A quick-fire 19 from Carlos Braffett, which included 2 sixes, was the other notable contribution as Queen's Park amassed 207 for 4 in their 20 overs. Clico Presal were of course depending on their capable middle order of Yannick Otley, Yannick Correa and Videsh Sukai to do the bulk of the chasing. But it was Upma Trevon Griffith who took it to the Queen's Park bowlers. He was losing partners on a regular basis though. First to go, Keon Otley, bowled by Dwayne Smith for 4. Then Yannick Otley, fell to the trademark spectacular catch in the deep by Pollard off the bowling of Carey Pear. He made 8. The reply just never picked up steam due to some good Queen's Park bowling. 79 from Griffith at the top of the innings and 25 from Miguel Ned were the scores of note for Clico Presal. As Queen's Park Cricket Club, as they did last season, adds the T20 title to their Premiership and Sunday League crowns, winning this match by 56 runs. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, fulfilling the promise.
You will see how we have been retasked with a newly equipped CSI division and data systems that not only put crime-fighting logistics at our fingertips, but those of CSI units throughout the world. And you will see how our police service has been reborn with a new sense of pride, a new sense of duty, and a new sense of community service that demonstrates that protect and serve means we are really here to protect and serve you, and to do it with pride. Each of us has chosen to serve, to do public service, to be here for you in some of life's most terrifying and saddest moments, to listen, to help, to be there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our hearts and minds will never close.
In our special feature, Fulfilling the Promise, we highlight the initiatives and achievements of the government over its 2 years in office. At News 4, we've joined in that effort, and each day in our news package, we feature one of those highlights from the long and impressive list of milestones over these 24 months. In this story, we look at the National Self-Help Commission under the umbrella of the Ministry of Community Development.
The National Commission for Self-Help has a mandate to assist communities and individuals outside there, right? One of the popular grants in that is the minor repairs and reconstruction grant, that we assist those with low income ceiling and so to repair their homes, right? And this has been a wonderful program so far that I've seen. For this year, we have delivered over 1,300. 2010, we delivered about 900. And I hope that in 2012, I'm setting myself a target of over 2,000 for the year.
The National Commission for Self-Help Limited, one of the ministry's agencies, is working hard with and within the communities to implement infrastructure projects. The chairman of the National Commission for Self-Help Limited, Suraj Deo Mangaru, explains a bit more.
Our mission is to reach out to the destitute and the poor in society. And we set about doing that when we assumed office some time ago, almost a year ago. And we have achieved that quite a lot. And I suppose the setting up of this commission, really, the National Commission for Self-Help, is reaching out to the poor in society. And mind you, there are lots of poor people in this country. And as I traverse this land, I'm really seeing what you call abject poverty. And it bleeds my heart sometimes to see the conditions in which people still live in today's world. But we do offer that compassion and that comfort to the people which we visit.
Let's talk about grants offered by the Ministry of Community Development under the National Commission for Self-Help Limited, providing the basic needs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We were able to chat with a young man by the name of Aaron who suffers from cerebral palsy. We also had an opportunity to chat with his grandmother as well. They benefited from one of these grants.
Well, I was benefited first by the staircase, the rail, and also some materials to do plastering the whole house inside and finish putting in odds and end blocks. And they completed the staircase by bringing the material, bringing men to work, and this is the state that is in right now.
I met Aaron about 10 years ago. I used to go to Tranquility, and I used to drop him to school every morning. And I knew of the precarious place where he lived. You know, and 10 years ago, you know, I had promised that I would endeavor to make sure that he has proper steps. But if there's one person I'd like to mention here is Mr. Reynald Baldev Singh. He was the key person, and he's the key person in the construction of the Stairway to Heaven. You know, there was a story with Aaron and I in the newspapers, and he saw it, where we were raising funds to build this Stairway to Heaven. And he saw it, and he called me in, and I went and I see him, and he said, you know what? He's going to build the Stairway to Heaven. So Mr. Reynald Baldev Singh, from the National Self-Help Commission, I think he's the CEO. He must get credit for this.
I will say thank you from my bottom of my heart, because before it was difficult for me to move about, and there's a good sentence.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because before I could not move around, and there is a God. The words of Aaron, who is quite happy because of his stairway to heaven. What a beautiful smile.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.